can you go to the next slide?
It's gonna come in after the second.
Huh?
Are you looking for the Rosenberg?
No. So we have, for those that are online, if you want to sign in for the specific interpretation, if you look down below by your keyboard, you'll see, or the screen, you'll see the little globe symbol, and you could click on that and then choose the language of your choice. Las personas que están en la computadora virtualmente, si necesitan interpretación, ven en su tablero el símbolo del mundo y si oprimen ese símbolo, pueden escoger el idioma que necesitan y así pueden escuchar lo que se está traduciendo. Next slide. We're going to be recording the session. We appreciate your cooperation with that. So I want to take a little bit of time this morning. One of our Best Start members and a huge community activist, Karen Roseberry, she was involved in a very tragic car accident this weekend and passed away. And so I'd like to take a little moment just to remember her, give her a moment of silence. She was the executive director for the Women's Center, the CareNet Women's Center in Lancaster, did a lot of work for the prenatal work, a lot of work with the community. She volunteered at different summer camps, really involved with the Antelope Valley, and it's a tragic shock, and she'll definitely be missed. So we could just take a moment of silence. Thank you. Today for our results, what we're looking at is obviously continue to build the relationships with one another, continue to today we're also going to be doing a Best Start Partnership survey, and we have a lot of information on that. And we want to continue to finalize our goals, identify objectives that we're going to be using as we move along in the work. Next slide. This is our agenda. So we'll have the welcome, the meeting agreements. We'll start with the check-in, then we'll do the survey, and then we will start with our breakout groups that we're going to be having today. Next slide. Can I get a volunteer to read the meeting agreements? And if I can, if you could maybe come up here, just because we don't have the other microphone and we need to have this microphone so the people online. Anyone?
Thank you, Denise.
All right, come on up then, Denise. Oh, where did they go? Did you press something down there, Omar? Oh, there it is. Woo, it was just a test.
Okay.
It was testing your memory, Denise.
Yeah, I know.
You
Well,
passed.
be punctual, stay present and engaged and on topic, put the focus on the future, be authentic, be yourself. One person speaks at a time, agree to disagree respectfully, finish your sentence, not your paragraph, step up, step back, exercise confidentiality when necessary, be patient and open with technology, keep your video on if possible, assume positive intentions, a rainy day will make flowers, separate person from the role, be creative and have fun.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you so much, Denise. All right, so today we're going to start with our Best Start check-in. Remember, this is something that we wanted to start with in this new year, and we want to carry out as we move forward in building relationships. Take some time to greet those at your table, say good morning. We put little name tags on the table as well so that we make sure we really get to know each other. I also just kind of wanted to point out each table has a little tent with sort of the area that we will be working in each group. We have the childcare table on the I guess my right side. The middle table is the resource hub, and then the table down on this end is the workforce group. So I just want to point that out in case you want to shuffle around and kind of stick with the topic moving forward. That doesn't mean like you can't work in all three or you can't like be involved in any other one. But just in case you kind of want to get started in the group that you want to be in with the group that has or shares a similar interest in you and sort of kind of try to maintain those groups as we move forward. But if nobody wants to shuffle around, anyone? No? We'll go ahead and get started with our best start check-in. So just a reminder, our 3 questions are, how are you feeling today? And we'll bring up our feeling wheel in just a minute. Just to kind of like share, right? How are we showing up today? What are we showing up with? I know that I have been a little bit stressed just with home stuff and taking care of a bunch of kids. So that's kind of like, oh, I gotta put that in the back of my mind, and hopefully I can focus on today's meeting. But if you see me checking my phone, that's kind of like where my mind keeps floating off to, right? And so that's just part of being human and having a personal life. So sometimes we can't put that aside, and we want to make sure we know that you have more going on. If you need to take a minute, please do so. What is your goal for your time together today? Like, what are we looking to get out of today's meeting? And I think that this helps us be very intentional about showing up and being a part of this team. And when we are contributing to the work that we are doing we are doing it with intention. And then lastly, who can you ask for support at your table? So again, in building community and building relationships, we want to make sure that we get to know each other. And if maybe there's someone who you haven't really talked to at your table, maybe this is an opportunity to get to know that person, right? And maybe today I can't ask for help because I don't really know that person, but I want to get to the point where like this is a space where we can count on each other, reach out to each other for help. Maybe someone at the childcare table is kind of stuck on something and knows that there might be someone at the resource table or at the workforce table who they can ask something from, right? So we want to make sure that we are building those bridges between each other and keeping the communication flowing. So we'll have about 10 minutes. 10 minutes? If you could set a timer for us. To check in with your whole table, okay? Here are our 3 questions. How are you feeling? What is your goal for our time together? And who can you ask for support? And then Omar, you have our online group just for the check-in, please.
I'll bring Carmen to help with the translation.
10 minutes, and then if we could move, just show the feeling wheel in case anyone wants to look at the feeling wheel. There it is. All right. So feel free. seconds left. I'm gonna post. I'm just kidding, sorry. I saw you and I was like, all right. I try to pretend like she's not taking a picture of me at first, but. All right, our time is coming to an end. Just gonna scoot this forward just a little. Is that okay? I'm sorry. All right. I love that. I love hearing you guys be able to engage in conversations and that way you guys don't have to just listen to me. I know. I talk a lot and then I tell a lot of stories, but that's not the point. The point is we got to share some time together in conversations. So I hope that we can continue that and build that momentum in terms of building relationships. Thank you to the online group as well. Just I jinxed myself. I said my computer's working perfect and I'll be able to engage and then my mic just decided to disconnect or I don't know. It doesn't want to work. So I will have a conversation with my computer later about how we don't do that the day of the presentation. But would anybody like to share maybe a little bit of what you learned in your group? Maybe you found some similarities with someone in your group. Anyone would like to share? No pressure. But... Mr. Beto, all right.
So when we were discussing at the table, we were talking about translation and interpreting and how it works with childcare and learning as they grow. Explaining to parents about children needing the education and training and to be successful. And that learning is, a very positive thing and how to enforce that. And what to bring in, even like for single parents. In educating is extremely important to help them be successful and grow.
Thank you so much. I love that. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I kind of turned it over.
I covered that, so it seems to be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's something very beautiful about this group is that there was a lot of language going on, right? English, Spanish, sign language, and it's helping break that stigma that if we don't all speak English, then we can't communicate, right? It's like we can still communicate. There's so many ways. And I think what Mr. Beto said as well, that it's something positive. It's something good. It's good to teach children, whether it's different languages or general education, it's all good. The important thing is helping parents or us as parents, knowing how to carry that in a positive way so that children grow up learning to learn, loving to learn. Grow up loving to learn. Give myself a tongue twister there. But thank you so much. ¿Sí? ¿Quiere compartir?
I wanted to share de una idea que me dio, an idea that he gave me. Tengo una niña especial. I have a special needs child that doesn't speak too well. Ahorita ella va a cumplir 22. She's gonna be 22. And I'm thinking of looking for someone to help her to learn sign language. And thank you. That's something new that I came to learn. That's something I learned today.
Muchas gracias. Oh, yeah. Thank you. My brain will speak in Spanish. Respondo en español y mi cerebro se va a pegar, ¿verdad? So thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you sharing. And that's what we want to build here, right? A space where we're learning from each other and at the same time showing that positive work out in the community. So we're gonna go ahead and then, are you sure anyone else want to share before I move on? Now's your time. We're gonna dive into some deep data learning right now. But if no one else wants to share, we'll go ahead and then move forward with our partnership survey that Mr. David will be presenting for us today, along with others. Yes.
Okay, so at this table, my name is Kanya. Our teams are here about the resource hub. And, just basically, I think I kind of gravitated for the right table because, Ms. Kelly provided information about something, an event that I was interested in going to, but I didn't get the opportunity to do so. So she just gave a brief overview of what that program was. And then, actually sitting next to a first timer here who's at the meeting. That's Miss Susan, and she's actually partnered with, CCRC, which is somebody who's been on my radar for a great deal. So I just feel good in that regard, that I'm gonna be able to soak up what Miss Kelly for me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, anybody else?
We did have something from Steve Stone online. He mentioned sometimes when we speak the same language, it is difficult to communicate the most important things to the current.
Absolutely, yes, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Keith, for sharing online. Alrighty, handing it off to David. Yeah, we could change to the next slide. The Best Start Partnership Survey.
All right, guys, we're gonna get settled in here just a sec.
That will be joining us, who's in front of line.
All right, hello, welcome, Suzette.
Welcome, Suzette.
Hey, we have more pouring in as well. Just gonna wait, give us a little bit of time for them to settle in. All right. So guys, thanks for participating today. Thanks for coming in today. I wanted to talk about our partnership survey that we're going to be administering today. I don't know if you guys are remember, or maybe in our past meetings it's been brought up, but finally today is the day that we're able to administer it and we've completed it. Our data and evaluation team worked hard on it. Our community feedback revised it as well, so that we worked with the Best Start community on something that's for the Best Start community. And so on top of that, we also have our data evaluation team member Alejandra online too. So she will be here for support as well if you guys are online. But moving on, we can get to our first page. So just to set the context on what this survey is that it's about the Best Start. It's about the partnership and how we're going to be tracking our goals and our outcomes. So as we see here, it reads the Best Start Partnership is a survey. Is it a survey designed to capture Best Start members' experiences, knowledge of systems change, and priorities aligned to our initiative? And so with that, when we look at the survey, it's a bit longer than what we're used to. So, if you guys see like our satisfaction surveys, for example, they're very short, they're very brief, and they're administered at the end of every meeting. This one's different. It's longer, but it's longer in a way that we're able to kind of capture information that helps us align ourselves with the Best Start partnership. It helps us in reporting to our funders, and then also helps us guide our facilitation and our meetings. So that's that might be why it's a bit lengthy. So the survey is going to be administered today through paper versions. So we have an English and Spanish version on paper, but primarily we also recommend that that you take the survey online. So we have that through a SurveyMonkey link that can link either online or through a QR code that's available at your tables or will be available in the presentation. So the survey, just to give a little bit further background, it was just formulated through the data evaluation team, and then we also wanted to incorporate a Best Start into the actual design of it. So we had Best Start members come in and help us co-design through revision and feedback through our language, making sure that everything aligned with in terms of what questions we were asking, and then just making sure that we weren't speaking in a foreign language through it, that we were speaking in a way that resonated with our common member. So we can move on from there if you'd like to the next slide. So these are our members that I wanted to give a special thanks to that helped us out with this. I would have loved to ask everybody around, but I mean, short of just asking the entire partnership for assistance with this, we had a select few come in and meet with us about revising this survey. So I wanted to give a special thanks to Alma Rodriguez, special thanks to Joseph Huddleston, Kari Enriquez, and Kelly Timmons. So thank you guys so much. I give my applause to you. They sat through a long meeting and going over it in detail. Each one, does this look right? Does this sound right? Here's the context of it. So short of giving them a lot of homework, I appreciate you guys for giving your time very much. So next one, I actually wanted to go to the next slide and invite one of our members, Kelly, to come in and read one of our slides for us. So Kelly, if you'd like to come up, thank you so much.
Which one? that
Just
it?
right here, just this slide. There's 4 things right there.
Okay.
No, that's in Spanish at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
The survey will help to describe how Best Start participants are capturing systems change and community information. The survey will also help us assess if we are meeting our short-term and medium-term outcomes. It helps us identify what topics our community finds most engaging or important, and helps us guide our capacity building efforts and regional meetings.
All right. Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
And then we can move on to our next slide as well. So I wanted to pause. Does anybody have any questions on the last slide? Whether online or in person? Okay. So our Alma is unfortunately not here. I believe she's going to be able to attend our afternoon meeting if I'm not mistaken. So I'll just read this one off for her. This is her slide. It reads, how will we use this information? And this is a way that we're able to kind of see a couple step-by-steps on how we're utilizing this. What is it that we're capturing? So this is to create an infographic to visualize our findings. So when we clean this data and we analyze it, we're going to bring it back to the partnership through an infographic and the data visualization. We're big fans of that. It's a really easy way to convey what we're capturing, what information it is that we're sharing. So we're going to bring that back to our next in our February meeting. And then we also are going to use this to report to our funder, First 5 LA. We're going to create a summary report and send it over to them and share the infographics as well. And then on top of that, we're going to it's going to be used to inform our work here. So as mentioned earlier, this is going to help us facilitate our meetings. It's going to help guide us and what we want to talk about, what we want to share that aligns with your priorities and your interests, really, how we can best engage. And so just note on here as well is that this survey is anonymous. So this survey is not going to capture any personal identifiers. It's not going to ask for a name, an address, or anything like that. It's simply we're simply going to ask the questions. All responses are going to be anonymous. Okay. So there's only 2 demographic questions, and ask age and primary language, but that's the only demographic questions that we're asking on this one. So moving on to the next one. I want to invite Kari. Kari, if you can come in and help us read this slide.
Good morning. Questions regarding awareness of Best Start community organization and resources. Questions that capture how community members share knowledge of Best Start, community resources, and systems change in communities. Questions gauging awareness and knowledge of systems change. Questions inquiring how community members use data to inform systems change projects. Questions capturing systems change action, and demographics data, age, and primary language.
Okay, thank you, Kari. All right, so those are the questions that we're going to be asking, and that's within a nutshell, right? This is just going to be we have around, I think, 33 questions in it. And this just encapsulates what those questions are going to be aiming to, are going to be in regards to. So if we can go to the next slide, we can actually get started. So if you guys can scan the QR code, it's right here. You guys are also going to have it available on your desk. So if you guys would like to participate, again, this is all voluntary, but we highly encourage you guys to participate. Our QR code is online here. Does anybody need any paper surveys or want to use one? Mhm.
that if anybody would like to use that instead of their phone, we also have that available.
Right. Okay, so is anybody unable?
Thanksgiving is in November. Thanksgiving is in November. Thanksgiving is in November. Number 5. Think, vote. Citizen
I
So yeah, we're gonna. Ooh, this is
I don't think it's me. Is it me?
maybe.
Does that mean my mic randomly started working? Let's see. Did that work? Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, we're having a little issue with feedback there. So that was our survey, everyone. I think hopefully maybe we can move on from now. If you haven't completed the survey, don't be alarmed. The survey's there. And we can still you can still work on it. Just for time's sake, we're gonna be moving on for the rest of our meeting, and we can show off the next steps. So for anybody that's here and has completed it, do you think that maybe we can, is there any sort of follow-up that you might be able to have, or any sort of comments or questions you guys might have after? Yes, yes, I am. Oh dear. Just a very loud private conversation. No, absolutely, go ahead. Okay, so I think everybody online is able to hear, but just to repeat, we're just moving on to the next step. If you're still completing the survey, don't worry, you still have time to complete it. We'll be here if you have any more concerns or need extra support. But yeah, this is just the next steps portion so that we can close off and then maybe help Carla get into the next step of her presentation. So in our next steps, we have any follow-up, and as I was mentioning earlier, I wanted to see if anybody had any sort of feedback or any sort of comments that they wanted to make. So you feel free to raise your hand or stop me at any time. But on top of responding to any sort of feedback that we get from this, as you guys might have seen, there's a comment that says if you have anything, you can always feel free to reach out to a Best Start member. Our next steps here is to analyze the data. So the data will be input, it will be cleaned. We're gonna manage it in a way that we're gonna have the data and evaluation team all be able to look at it. And then all the clean survey data is gonna be analyzed. And that data analysis is gonna be also processed with our community members for our results. And so on top of that, after we get our results, after we've analyzed the data, then we're gonna visualize it. So that visualization, as I mentioned earlier, is gonna be sent out in an infographic in our next month's meetings. So that's what's to come for our survey. Thank you guys so much again for taking it. I know it was voluntary, but all of you that volunteered to take it, I really do appreciate helping us with, guiding our partnership in a way that aligns with you. So if you guys want to move on, if you want to take those steps.
And I think, David, just to make sure, we are adding this to our group site.
Yes, so this is also going to be submitted through group site, and I believe Sylvia will e-blast it. What's the question? Okay.
Online.
Where do I access that?
Can you read the question? Sorry, because we can't see it. Oh. Mute the mic.
Yeah, we can unmute. Okay, and I see a hand. I see Pilar raise her hand. So Pilar, if you wanted to speak up or say anything.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you for doing, the survey and the data. And I just want to connect a little bit on what it means for us, but that not for SPI, but really for the work. So y'all participated in the State of the Child report, which is phenomenal. And it's been really, that data has been used in a lot of different ways, a lot of different agencies, funders, and especially community members and community-based organizations. So I think like this data understanding like Best Start, the systems and where you are is really important, because as there are more interests in Antelope Valley, it's more important that the community, the partnership and other partner organizations are on the same page. And then also that you can speak about the efforts that you all are doing. So I think that's really the value of this and the understanding, and also for Best Start staff, and then for all of you in the partnership to figure out what is the next step in the work that you need to do. And then also for us funders to understand where the support is needed. So I just really want to thank you all for participating in it, in the survey. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pilar, for sharing that. Yeah, this actually goes a long way in just capturing not only what this means for Best Start, but also going on to First 5 LA and beyond, just in community building as a whole. This is just community level data that is always appreciated by everybody that's able to get their hands on it. So yeah, so just without any further comment, I just wanted to go back and just let you guys know that this is also going to be e-blasted, I think, by Sylvia, and it's also going to be available on our group site. Just note, however, that if you guys have taken the survey once before and you guys see it e-blasted, or maybe you see it on group site, then just note that you don't have to take it again. Anybody that takes the survey only has to take it once for our data integrity there. So thank you very much, guys, and I can hopefully get out of your hair. And
Yeah, and I think it really helps when if you know that someone who typically shows up to the meeting isn't here today, you could just kind of remind them, fill them in, and support them if you can. Otherwise, you can always, of course, refer them to David. But alrighty, so okay. The next step the next section that we're moving into is again continuing the conversation on our education goals, which is where we left off last week. We got a lot of great input from everyone. One thing that I noticed is we continue to sort of fall into this creating objectives, things that we can do to sort of reach some kind of an end goal, which we know revolve around the 3 topics that we've set out on the table. And so what I did was I combined some of those sort of they're more like action items, right? Things that we can engage and do. And so I combined some of those and I created what I consider to be overarching goals that I want to make sure we share with you. You give us your input. Let us know, is this on the right track of what we were sharing last week? Is there anything missing? Is there anything that maybe we want to emphasize, highlight, add, or maybe I got it all wrong, right? So I want to present this to you and share this information with you, but know that it is based on the conversations that we've had since the last meeting. Can we go on to the next slide, please? Oh, but before we do move on, I do want to also give a big shout out to those who attended the policy forum, the CCRC policy forum. Thank you. The theme was No Child Left Behind, and we heard some great information on really what different organizations are doing throughout the community and some of the patterns that they've seen in terms of immigration, family needs. I think two of the topics that were really talked about were housing and immigration. So I thought, it gives us the opportunity to hear from other big organizations, hear what they're doing in the community and what are they seeing. Because this allows us to also engage in those efforts, support those efforts, or help understand like what are we as Best Start also trying to achieve in the community, and who is already maybe doing some of that we can partner up with and ask for support as well.
Can I add something to that too, Carla?
Yes.
So Carla and I were at Cal State Northridge where this was being held. And we did let them know that we were doing the watch party, and it blew their minds. They were just so excited that throughout different speeches, they kept talking about, what a great idea. They should have thought about something like that. And I just said, well, this just shows the kind of interest that we have here in the Antelope Valley, and how our residents are really committed to getting more information. So they did send out quite the shout out to the Antelope Valley Best Start for being there. So thank you guys for those that attended.
And as we continue to work on our community change agenda in setting these goals, those are the type of like information that we also want to make sure that we're putting out into the community. If anyone is interested in either attending these type of events, please let us know. If you hear of something that you feel, we should also be like presenting on here in the Best Start meeting, like give us that input. We'd love to hear it, and we'd love to make sure that we're making space for your ideas as well. Sorry, I lost my little. Okay, so building our CCA goals, if we can go on to the next slide. This is more or less what has been combined based on the last conversation. I was going to say last month, but 2 weeks ago, right? So goal A, we talked about the importance of increasing access to quality childcare and early learning programs in the AV that meet the unique needs of children and families, specific to here in the AV, right? And does this work as an overarching goals? I know we've all shared ideas of things that we can do, ways that we can take action in the community. Really, when we get out there, that is the work that we are going to do to reach that. Right? If that is our goal, to increase access to quality childcare, the question is then what are we going to do? And I know that we've talked a lot about what we can do, what we want to do, but we need to know like what are those stepping stones leading to? So that would be goal A. Goal B focuses on establishing an early education resource hub. We've talked a lot about resources. We know that there's a lot of resources. We know that there is a need. We see that there is a gap in connecting families to those resources. And we've talked a lot about creating some kind of a resource hub, some kinds of resource connection. How can we make sure that the community knows about these events and that the organizations are actually getting the resources to the families? Like we've talked a lot about that. So that is our overall goal, right? Or one of our overall goals. The question will now be, what do we do to say, this is what we've done to get to that? To say, we've created a resource hub that provides early education resources to the families in the AV, as well as comprehensive and culturally affirming resources. So we know that it's not just about telling families, oh, well, here's some daycares, here's a pamphlet, right? It's based on your needs, based on your preferences, right? Here are some resources that will not only support your child's education, but your family's needs, your unique needs. So that's really important. And I think that that's a piece that has been missing in the equation. And then our third goal would be to support the expansion of early education workforce and development opportunities in the AV. And I think I added another piece. I guess I didn't add it to the English. To increase the representation, to have more diverse representation of the student population. There you go. In learning spaces. Okay, so I think this piece was also very important. I know it's only in the Spanish, but that piece should be here in our English. So it's not just about expanding the workforce, it's expanding the workforce so that it represents the student population in the learning spaces. Our focus as Best Start is 0 to 5, but we know that there is a need that carries into K through 12. And so things like maybe the trauma-informed Antelope Valley training program, it may be something that we would like for our childcare providers to attend, right? It might be something that we would encourage. That doesn't mean that we're not going to say, hey, K through 12, this is another benefit for our programs here, right? For families, for different programs servicing students and families who are in the K through 12 system, this is also a great benefit. So again, what are the stepping stones that would help us say, this is what we did? Now, I want to ask, any questions, comments on these 3 goals? Any concerns? Yes.
Have we started with brainstorming as to how to accomplish these goals? Because I had a couple of ideas as you were talking as to some grassroots ideas.
So that will be today's conversation. Yeah, that'll be today's conversation. Again, and we've heard a lot about these great ideas too. We've talked a lot about what we could be doing, but we don't have something set in stone that really guides our work, right? And that's the whole purpose of these regional meetings, of understanding the data, what it tells us about our community, so that when we do engage in efforts, they're intentional efforts that are reaching something in our community. So again, this is based on the conversations from last week. We were doing some of the SMART goal handouts. We did a SMART goals activity. So that was also kind of to get your brain going in like, what is it that we are trying to achieve here in the AV? So if we go on to the next slide, I just want to take a moment. I know sometimes it can seem like a lot of information. Just, is there anything any other goals that you would like to incorporate into our community change agenda that focus on childcare and education in the AV. And I gave you that as homework last week, right? Think about what are some of those goals. So if anyone's kind of been pondering that for the last 2 weeks, please let us know. Now is the time.
I'd also like to add in that when you see some of these goals, they seem very broad, right? That maybe they're not like too detailed. And that was done on purpose. We still took all the information that you gave us, all the input you guys brought in, and we summarized it. But part of making these kind of goals is that if we go and create a goal that is too specific, then we kind of trap ourselves in a smaller area, as opposed to making the goals a little more general, that gives us a little more wiggle room to work around and really kind of, this goes back to what we said at the beginning when we were first doing the data maps. When we realized that there were so many things that were important, environment, mental health, regular health. So we want our goals to still be able to say, oh, that touches on that data matter, that touches this other issue. We're still looking at how these are going to be systemic impact goals, if that makes more sense, right?
So anyone? And if something does come to mind, please feel free to jot it down and pass it over. Again, this community change agenda is being created based on your feedback, right? And that's something that I want to make sure is highlighted. It's not like I'm coming up with this out of the nowhere. But last opportunity, any input? No? Okay. So here's what we're gonna do next. We're going to in our groups, right? So again, I said this table over on this side is the childcare table, right? It's focusing on goal A that has to do with increasing programs in the AV. This one right here, the one in the middle, is resource hubs. So what does that look like? How do we create this? I know at the last meeting we talked about like a one-stop shop application. Well, what does that look like? What does that entail? And so we can use the SMART goals handout. We'll show that in a minute as well to kind of guide us through that and also give an example. And then the last one, our last table over here, will focus on goal C, the workforce development. And I think with our online group as well, we'll have them focus on that. But again, that doesn't mean that just because you're sitting at that table that you only focus on that. If that is your main interest, perfect. If you maybe want to gravitate towards another table, you can do that as well. But I think it'll really help the conversation stay in sync as we go on. So the online group, because we only had 2 people, and we only have 2 people here, we're going to go ahead and join those. We were going to have them choose. By the end of this discussion, we should have come up with at least 1 to 3 possible objectives of how we reach those goals. Those objectives are going to lead our work in, like, if we start to go door knocking next week, we know what we are saying, and we know what it is that we are asking the community to do, or what we are asking the community to support us in. I do ask that you identify at least 1 person to report back at the end of the 20 minutes. And then have your SMART goals handout ready. I was hoping that you would have brought it back. If you didn't, we did get them printed. Yes, so we'll go ahead and pass those out as well. And then if you can go on to the next slide, just to give a quick example. I know we talked a little bit about this last week as well. If our goal is to increase access to quality childcare and early learning programs, here's something that we can do, right? This is just an example. We can work collaboratively with CCRC, which we know is our regional resource and referral agency here in the AV, to target neighborhoods that have high need for childcare programs and open 1, 2, 3 family childcare programs, 1, 2, 3 childcare centers in the area by 2027, right? So we have, it's specific, it's measurable. We know how much of what we're trying to achieve. Is it something that is attainable? Well, we'd have to make sure we talk to the CCRC team. I know Susan's not here today, but hopefully we'll be able to loop her in, or I know she has a representative here who'll be able to take that info back to her. The target neighborhoods that have high need of childcare programs. If you guys remember from the State of the Child report, there was 6 zip codes listed on page 25 of the State of the Child report. There's some copies in the back as well if you want to grab one there. Those could be the zip codes that we target, right? Because if we say target neighborhoods that have a high need, well, how do we know which neighborhoods those are? We have the data on that. So we can use the State of the Child report to identify those zip codes. Now the question is, realistically, by 2027, how many family childcare programs and centers can we work towards, opening up here in the community? This might require, passing out flyers in these neighborhoods, door knocking in these neighborhoods, being intentional about referrals in this neighborhood. So there's a lot of things that we could do to reach that, to have that objective help us reach our goal, right? But this is just an example of what we're looking for in terms of those objectives. Ideally, we'd have 3 objectives for goal A, 3 objectives for goal B, and 3 objectives for goal C. That's what I would like for those conversations to focus on in the next 20 minutes. Questions, comments, concerns? And for our online group, if you could actually pull the Canva whiteboard. And then Omar, if you could pass out the handouts, please. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Sorry?
The goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, we handed those out.
Oh, okay, thank you, thank you. The recap will be like 5 minutes. Yeah. No? Okay, so here it is. This is exactly what you're looking at on the handout. Something specific, something measurable, a goal that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. That will help us develop our SMART objective in this case. Okay, all right. Can we? Yes, the online group will be joining Sylvia and our workforce table, and David, yes. Can we get a timer? And then Omar will be supporting this group, and then I will be supporting this group. Okay, yes, begin.
Trying to see about incentives or even starting sooner in the classroom, like in high school, how they have medical assistant programs, maybe something geared to education and early programs that way they're graduating and they're not looking to move somewhere else. It's here. They could then take the knowledge and education that they already learned in high school and take it, out to the community, already helping as they, continued their education, but already being able to be employed sooner rather than later, and have that incentive so that they could continue working and here in their community, helping others.
Awesome. Thank you, Kari. And again, I think we're one step closer to really setting our objectives and starting to get out into the community. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and begin to wrap up because I want to be respectful of your time. Nadia, can you move to the next slide, please? Any community announcements, general community announcements? Otherwise, I would do a quick wrap up of upcoming events. February 14 and February 21, we have a continuation of our DEI workshops, gender diversity, inclusion, and disability awareness inclusion. If I think Stephanie, you send out the reminders for those, right? These are online, so please feel free to join us every Wednesday on the 14th and the 21st. The Trauma Informed Antelope Valley Trading Program kickoff and panel discussion will be taking place January 31st here. Cohort 1 will be in English, that one is in March, but the cohort 2 and 3 will have a bilingual. The sustainability workshop we will be having with Ms. Tavier Woolley, that is this upcoming Tuesday, March 23rd. If you haven't registered, you can register through the group. No, what's it called? Linktree, thank you, through the Linktree. The Growing Brain, I will be facilitating this one. I think this is an amazing curriculum to understanding infant brain development. So please make sure to register and join us. And then Dia de los Reyes and MLK celebration toy giveaway. You want to make sure that you register ahead of time to make sure that they are counting your presents. Kids must be present in order to receive toys, no exceptions. This is January 20th. I believe that's this Saturday. Right?
There's gonna be like 15 bicycles for all age groups, like raffled off, lots of raffles.
Okay, so that is all. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. And make sure you follow us, subscribe.
Just want to make sure to remind everybody,